Kimberly Bauer, and this is the Christmas watercolor postcard kit tutorial. I'm so glad you're here and that you're trying this kit. I hope this is a fun little thing for you and your family to do together, and that you have a lot of fun just playing around with some paint today. To get started, you're going to need your postcard, your paint palette from your kit, and your brushes, or other brushes if you have some of your own that you prefer. And then also, if you can grab a cup of water, some paper towel, and a paper plate or plate you don't mind getting some paint on. It's going to come in really handy as you paint today. I'm so excited that you're here, and I can't wait for you to try it out. We're going to start by just wetting our entire sky. Just a clear brush and water. And try and avoid your snowman as most as possible, just because you want to keep that white there. And we'll fill in the sky with some water. Okay, my sky is all wet, and I'm just going to use barely any blue, just as light as I can get that with a little extra water, and then work my way around the sky. And it should go on pretty smoothly with the water already on there, but I like to work in a vertical motion just because the pattern of the paper works that way, and if you work with it, it will go on a little more smoothly. So I will fill that in. Okay, so I have my sky finished, and I just want to show you, I have a little bit of blue I got down here, and if you take a clear wet brush and then your paper towel, just dab where you had it, it should pick up most of the time, especially if it's not too much. So that can help you clear up any of those white spaces that you don't want paint. So I just want to talk a little color theory for a second, because we're going to do some mixing. If you add blue to orange, they're right across the color wheel from each other, so it'll create a muted blue-gray color, and that's what I want for my shadow on the snow and on my snowman. So we are going to mix just a little bit of orange and blue, and then use a lot of water to have it pretty watery, and I'll show you how that goes on. Okay, so I've mixed my color, and then I'm going to pull this over here, and you'll notice it went on really dark right there. So I just want to add even more water, because you want it to just barely be there under your snowman, and then also your bunny. So there's just sunlight coming from up here and creating a shadow on the snow. And I'm going to keep watering that down, dabbing some of the water out so that I have it really light on there. So I'm feeling like mine is still a little too dark, so I'm just going to blot it with a little bit of paper towel, and you'll notice that will pick up a lot, especially down here at the bottom where I want it to be further away from the snowman and less of a shadow. I'm just going to put a little more water on there and dab it, and it will pick up that paint for you. So now we have more of a gentle shadow there. I'm going to do the same thing, just a little tiny bit there, lots of water, a little bit of paint on this side of my snowman, up here, and kind of come around under the neck, down the side, around the belly, down the side under the bunny's arms. And then you can do a little bit under the hat as well up here, just to kind of create that whole side being in the shadow. And then I like to blend out that end, so there's not a hard line right there on that edge. Okay, now I am going to use my red to do my snowman's hat. And you can actually grab any of the colors, whatever your preference is, because it doesn't have to be the red. The other thing I like to do and play around with that you can do here, instead of doing a flat hat, you can do little V's and make it look a little bit more knitted. And then once it dries, take a wet brush and blend it all together. I am going to do just a plain hat just to keep things simple, but just know you can kind of play around with that. Okay, I am going to fill in my bunny now with just the brown, and I'm going to keep it kind of light. I add a little water to my bunny so that it gets around more smoothly on there. And then I will go back in to create some shadows on the bunny once I have it all filled in with the first round of brown. Okay, so there's the first round of the brown, and then I am just going to pick up a little more brown with a little less water in it, and especially once this is dried. It's not quite dry yet, but I am going to fill in some spots where the shadows would hit. So kind of under this back leg where the sun can't hit. This leg over here and this foot, down the back, on the other side of the tail, and then like this bottom side of this arm over here, and the bottom side of this arm. Those got a little too dark, so I'm gonna add a little bit more water. But you can just kind of play around with that till it's smooth. It just creates a little more dimension to your bunny. And then I think even the bottom side of the face I'm gonna do. And the underside of the ear. And then I'm gonna do this ear back here too, just so that you can kind of see the difference between the back ear and the front ear. If you want to come back in with some highlights or just to pick up any spots that you felt like got too dark, again, just use a wet brush and kind of pick up a little bit of that color until it feels like it's smooth, and also you have enough of that paint up to have the highlights and the lowlights there that you want. Okay, finally, I am going to grab my orange and come in to do my carrot. And then I am going to use my blue and my brown together to create like almost a black, really dark brown, to fill in both my buttons and my eyes and mouth. And then also I'm going to come over here and get my bunny's eyes. If those feel like too tiny a spots for you to get to it with a brush, sometimes I will also just grab a pen, and you can also come back in and highlight just some of your edges where there are the designed lines on your kit. But if you want to have a little bit more definition to all of those lines, you can use a pen to do that as well. I'm going to come in and just barely any water in my brown and do my twig arms, and you can follow these pretty exact. I like to do a thinner line at the top, so the further away from the snowman, and thicker at the bottom, just so it kind of follows the shape of a twig from a tree. There is our bunny making a snowman. Hope you had fun doing this little painting with me. Okay, here is our finished product, our little bunny making a snowman. Thank you so much for joining my tutorial. Don't forget that you can get creative. You can make designs in the snowman's hat, add other little animal friends here in the snow, and just kind of have fun decorating your snowman and making it your own. Then also when you're done, don't forget that there is a spot on the back for a note and a stamp, and you can get this in the mail to a friend or family member today.